morning to you, good afternoon to you, good evening to you. I welcome you to news from the church on your esteemed platform, esteemed Radio Vision. Don't forget that we are located at Obokun Avenue in Ilesha, Ocean State. So welcome to the show. This is where we bring you news from the church, news around pastors. So I'll be dishing them out to you this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Once again, welcome and happy Sunday to you. All right, this morning on news from the church, I am Chidima Abel. Like I said, more stories will be coming to you. We have lots of stories here coming from the church, around ministers. We have the very first one. Police detain Port Harcourt pastor over alleged plots to kill Minister Wike, and then hunt for ex-Rivers SSG. Police detain Port Harcourt pastor over alleged plots to kill Minister Wike and hunt for ex-Rivers SSG. Looking at the screen now, you will see the face of the pastor displayed on the screen. So as we are told here, security sources told Sahara reporters, this is a credible news story. Security sources told Sahara reporters, the operatives of the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team, known as IRT, have arrested one Dr. Tombari Joseph Beniol, who is a medical doctor and also founder of Life Fort Chapel Church, Port Harcourt, over an alleged plan to kill Minister Wike. A fresh twist has hit the political war between Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Nyesom Wike and Rivers State Governor Similai Fubara, following the arrest of a Port Harcourt-based medical doctor and a pastor as well, over an alleged plot to assassinate the former Rivers governor. Security sources told Sahara reporters the operatives of the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Team, known as IRT, have arrested this pastor known as Joseph Benil, who is also a medical doctor, founder of Life Fort Chapel Church, that is resident in Port Harcourt, over an alleged plan to kill Minister Wike. According to the sources, the arrest followed the interception of a phone conversation between this pastor and the immediate past secretary to the Rivers State Government, SSG, Dr. Tami Danagogo. In the recorded conversation, the suspect allegedly discussed a plot to bring in Israeli nationals to carry out the assassination of the FCT minister. The discussion reportedly ended with an alleged plan to approach Governor Fubara for funding to execute the operation. Remember, this is coming from Sahara Reporters, a credible news platform. Now, following the intelligence report, operatives of the IRT, led by Commissioner of Police Ahmed Mohammed Sanusi, moved in and arrested this pastor called Dr. Manuel. He has reportedly been in detention for about 2 weeks now. Security sources further disclosed that efforts are ongoing as we speak to arrest Danagogo, who is alleged to have gone on the ground since the matter came to light. So as we are speaking now, Danagogo is an accomplice. The Nigerian police, however, confirmed the arrest of the suspect, saying the individual is currently in custody while an investigation is ongoing as we speak. They said, and I quote, "He is in our custody. Investigation is ongoing." Force Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hondeyin told Sahara reporters on Monday without saying any other thing. Although the police declined to disclose further details about the suspect's identity or the nature of the alleged offense. Sources familiar with the matter said detectives are working to establish the full circumstances, surrounding the case and possible accomplices. Wow. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, a pastor to be involved in this kind of a scandal, it's really, really appalling. I wouldn't say further than this because, like they said, the investigation is ongoing. So let's see what the investigation is going to reveal. We still bring you more gist concerning this particular story as they unfold. All right, away from that, there's another story here from the church. Nigeria, now the deadliest place on earth for a Christian. Who says this? Who said this? Catholic activist in Africa. They say Nigeria is now the deadliest place on earth for a Christian. Whoa, this is too much. Catholic activists in Africa. Catholic activists are calling upon Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs to take immediate action to end the persecution of Christians in the West African nation. They noted that the country is becoming the most dangerous place for a follower of Jesus Christ. Remember, this is coming from Catholic activists. In a petition that was dated Thursday, January 8th, that's 2 days to today, the activists reflect on the plight of Christians in the country, that the watchdog group ranked as one of the most dangerous areas for Christians in the world. Now, this is what they said. I'm just reading it out. I'm just quoting them. Nigeria's Christians are being hunted, abducted, and burned alive simply for the faith. Children are dragged from their school into militant camps, while villages smother and the wars cross past, the Catholic activists say. Nigeria is now the deadliest place on earth to follow Jesus. The activists assert in their petition, adding that in Nigeria, entire villages vanish overnight. Churches collapse into ash. They say that the situation of Christians in Nigeria is not a distant tragedy, but a catastrophe unfolding in real time. One burning house and one stolen life at a time. In fact, they say that while many of Nigerians welcome 2026 in the safety of their homes, Christian families in Nigeria spent their nights listening to the crackle of gunfire, the activist said, adding that for Nigerians, the holy season of Advent was a season of terror. For many Nigerians, remember, I am quoting the Catholic activist. They said in an effort to stem violence against Christians in Africa, most populous nation, Nigeria is the most populous nation in Africa. So they say in an effort to stem this violence against Christians in Nigeria, the U.S. should do something. And you know, Donald Trump has actually done something. So they said they have previously warned these terrorists that if they did not stop the slaughtering of Christians, there will be hell to pay. I'm still coming from the activists. They underscored the importance of signing their petition, saying it will go a long way in prompting prime ministers and ministers of foreign affairs to enforce sanctions against the perpetrators. They explained that enforcing sanctions against perpetrators will involve freezing the assets of militia leaders and the officials who turn a blind eye to the bloodshed in Nigeria. The activists said something. They said that signing the petition will also put pressure on respective prime ministers and ministers of foreign affairs to implement visa bans, thus closing the doors of international community to anyone complicit in religious persecution. They further explained that signing the petition will enable ministers to tie international aid to protection by ensuring that foreign assistance is strictly conditioned on the verified protection of Christian communities. All right, I need you to drop your comments in the comment section. What's your thoughts about this Catholic activists and what they have said so far about their petitions? What is your thoughts on this? Let's hear it in the comment section. away from that, we still have more stories coming from the church. Adeboye links Anthony Joshua survivor in car crash to God's mercy. Adeboye links Anthony Joshua survival in car crash to God's mercy. Pastor E.A. Adeboye has linked Joshua's survival in car crash to God's mercy. He said it was by God's mercy. Remember the story how he swapped his seat. From where he was sitting down, he had to swap it to another place. And that was how he was rescued. And so Pastor Adeboye, having seen everything, had to link it to God's mercy. He said it was only by the grace of God, by the mercy of God, that this Joshua was able to survive that accident that actually led to the deaths of his two friends. Now, let me read the story to you. Pastor Enoch Adeboye, General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG, has attributed the survival of world-renowned boxer Anthony Joshua in a recent car crash along Lagos-Ibadan Express Road to the uncommon mercy of God. Note the word, uncommon mercy of God. The RCCG General Overseer made his remarks during a sermon that was monitored by Church Times on Sunday at the church's national headquarters in Oyigbo, Lagos State. Now, reflecting on news reports of the recent accident involving the boxing star, a crash that tragically, you heard the story, that tragically claimed the life of two of his friends, Pastor Adeboye said what stood out for him was the swapping of the seats by the boxer. Before the accident, he said what stood out for him is the swapping of the seat. That was where he saw the mercy of God playing out. Because according to Pastor E.A. Adeboye, Anthony Joshua would have maintained that seat, he would have retained that seat, but through divine intervention, he was able to swap the seat, change the seat to the other place he went to sit. Imagine. So Pastor Adeboye is saying that this is the hand of God. This is the mercy of God. Now the cleric used the boaster's story as a springboard to reflect on his own life, insisting that human intelligence is no match for divine protection. He said, and I quote, "I am alive because of the mercy of the Lord. It is not my cleverness, but the mercies of the Lord," he said. So, for every one of us that is alive today, it is by the mercy of God, not by our cleverness. Pastor Adeboye went on to say, he recalled a past journey to Japan, where he traveled despite a prophecy that his plane would crash. By God's grace, he said, and I quote, He said, "By God's grace, I will see next year," he declared. "I can't die until God says it is time. He's the one who controls time. He's the one who controls my tomorrow." Now let's look at it from the critic view, from critic to convert. In a candid moment of reflection, Pastor Adeboye revisited his days as a lecturer at the University of Lagos, admitting he was once a staunch critic of the faith. He said, and I quote, "I used to be one of those who made fun of Christians and Christ." He recalled, he narrated how he first encountered the RCCG by chance while accompanying a friend to collect soil samples for research near the Lagos coast. Describing his first impression of the church, he said, "I saw the signboard and the ramshackle building. I referred to the church then as the little dog with the big..." He said he referred to the church as the little dog with the big name. Nobody would have believed this if not that it is coming from the horse's mouth. He said, "I wondered what was wrong with the people there, but I noticed they had peace." Years later, when faced with personal challenges, Pastor Adeboye was invited. He invited to the same church he once despised. "It is by the mercy of God that I am saved," he said. And he said until today he cannot understand how it happened other than mercy. Now, he talked about the sovereignty of God. Adeboye addressed the attitude of believers towards giving, emphasizing that God does not need human resources to function. All right, that's that about Pastor Adeboye and his remark with respect to Anthony Joshua. We'll be moving ahead to another story from the church. story says bandits kill 42, kidnap women and children in attacks on villages in Nigeria diocese. At least 42 people have been killed, an unknown number of women and children abducted following a series of coordinated attacks on villages located in Nigeria's Kontagora Catholic Diocese. In a statement issued January 5th, the Director of Social Communication of the diocese, Father Matthew Stephen Kabirat, provided details about the attacks. Now he said, and I quote, "A devastating attack occurred in Kasuwandaji, a village in Agwara local government, Niger State, as bandits invaded early Sunday morning. The attack has left over 40 people killed and several others kidnapped," Kabira said. Reports indicate the bandit operated for hours with no security presence. Oh, this is really sad. According to Kabirat, the attacks were part of a wave of violence that began on December 28 last year when heavily armed bandits riding about 30 motorcycles emerged from their hideout in the Kainji Game Reserve. Now, he said they crossed into Kebbi State, north of Shafasi, and proceeded to the village of Kaiwa, where they killed 5 people and set fire to houses and grain stores. They then moved on to Gebe, where they killed 2 more people. The priest disclosed this. Now, Kabirat explained that on the evening of January 1st, the bandit passed through Shafasi again and burned documents at the police station before spending the night in the bush. On the morning of January 2nd, they also passed near Bako Mission and the Tungankure Junction near Pisa village, where they gave some individuals a telephone number to be delivered to the district head of Pisa and the village head of Sokombora. Now, he said at about 10 a.m. that same day, the bandits entered the Catholic church compound in Sokombora and destroyed a crucifix, pictures of Stations of the Cross, and musical instruments. Kabira said, adding that the attackers also stole 2 motorcycles, mobile phones, and cash from the Catholic church in Sokombora. He said, and I quote, "After leaving Sokombora, they occupied some Kombari compound nearby where they spent the rest of that day until the afternoon of the next day, being January 3rd, eating the chickens and the goats of the people," he recounted. And he said towards the evening of January 3rd, they left the Kambari compound near Sokombora and entered the village of Kasunwadaji. After 8 kilometers, that's about 5 miles from Sokombora, he disclosed. Now, Kasunwadaji is a small village with a large Wednesday market. The attackers, the priest said, set fire to the market and even the surrounding houses, slaughtering so many people to the tune of 42 men. He said they slaughtered 42 men after tying their arms behind their backs. What a tragic way of, slaughtering a human. He said these victims were both Christians and Muslims. That's what Kabirat said. They also kidnapped an unknown number of women and children. Now, the priest explained that this particular group of criminals has been roaming freely across the northern part of Bogu local government area in Niger State and the southern part of Shanga local government area in Kebbi State between December 28th and January 3rd without being challenged by security forces. Now, as a result, Kabira said the Papiri school children who were recently released from captivity have been further traumatized because of what is happening in their environment. These children are going through, psychological trauma. The children, he said, are forced to hide in the bush with their families whenever reports indicate that the bandits are nearby, both day and night. That means they are now living in panic. According to him, panic is now widespread around the villages where rumors abound, the priest said. He said in that area there are many villages. There's not a single large town where people can run to for safety. Nevertheless, people are evacuating the area in large numbers, abandoning their homes and properties. this is the very last story I will be using to wrap up the news from the church program. Church to join day of mourning for Switzerland fire victims. This didn't happen in Nigeria. Church to join day of mourning for Switzerland fire victims. All right, here we have on Friday, January 9, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Switzerland and the rest of Europe will take part in a national day of mourning after the deadly fire at a Sky Resort bar in Valais, Switzerland. Now, the Churches Europe Central Area released a statement on Thursday, January 8, on the Churches Europe newsroom about the fire and the day of mourning. The statement read, "We express our deepest condolences to all those affected by the devastating fire that occurred on New Year's Eve at the Constellation event venue in the Sky Resort of Crans, Montana, in the canton of Valais in Switzerland." Now, the church has been present in Switzerland since 1850 and currently has 34 congregations throughout the country. This is where we'll be wrapping up the show, the news from the church. And don't forget that this very program will be coming your way again next week, Sunday. Until we come your way again, stay loyal to Esteem Radio Vision. I want to say a very big thank you to you for choosing Esteem Radio Vision. Thank you for staying with us. I also want to appreciate our CEO in the person of Dickie Michael Adeboya Shaolu, the founder of Eniakbonle Foundation and Esteem Radio Vision. Also want to appreciate our producer in the person of Afolabi Adenikbekon. Until I come your way again, I still remain Chidima Abel. Bye for now.